right, I'll call the meeting to order, the regular meeting of the Farmington Board of Education for Monday, October 21st, 2025. I ask you all to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, Kathy, item 3 on the agenda, recognition.
Good evening, everyone. My mic is on now. I am so pleased to recognize 2 individuals who have received a prestigious award. The first, I would love for Erin to come up to the podium. I have the pleasure, yes. And there's a seat right there, just in case. I have the pleasure of introducing our 2025-2026 Teacher of the Year. Erin Nuck has served as a teacher leader, a skilled instructor, an instructional coach to her colleagues over many years, serving others as a strong professional development facilitator and sharing her expertise with educators across the district. She is truly exceptional. I see so many of our students here who their lives may have been touched by Erin, and we are so pleased and proud that she is representing us in the state Teacher of the Year process. Erin is a humble yet truly outstanding educator who's committed to continuously learning and continuously innovating. She has shaped the Farmington Public Schools. Erin's commitment to ensuring every child succeeds as confident and independent readers and writers who acquire all elements of our vision of the global citizen made her the ideal Farmington Teacher of the Year for this school year. Countless educators and students have benefited from her ability to develop in others the skills to excel in the areas of literacy and even beyond literacy, building their confidence, empowering them. She sees the strength in all of us, children and adults, and she is a true Farmington educator. I am in awe of you, Erin, our Teacher of the Year. Your knowledge, your ability to develop that expertise in others, spreading that expertise so that we're always, all of us are continuously learning and getting better for the children of Farmington. Erin loves the teaching profession and serves as a model of excellence in all elements of her literacy work, instilling a love of reading and writing within our students as well as the adults in our school district. Congratulations to our 2025-2026 Teacher of the Year, Erin Nuck.
Thank you so much. I am just so humbled and touched by, I can't even express how much this award means to me. I am going to read because I might just become a bucket of tears. I am so grateful to this board and to our administration for their steadfast commitment to putting children first, for thinking critically about our practices and applying best practices and research. This is a time to care for children holistically, to nurture all they can do and become. My passion is literacy. I just love books and stories. Stories connect us. They help us share our fears, our dreams, and imagine who we might become. Everyone deserves to access this world as a reader, a writer, and communicator. And I believe that every child can not only become proficient readers and writers, but they can love it and use it with joy and purpose throughout their lives. Through my participation in the Reading Recovery Study and my amazing intervention team and my ongoing collaboration with researchers and professors at UConn and Lesley, I've learned that reading is a complex process. Children who encounter early reading difficulties deserve an adaptive, responsive approach. Every child has strengths, a unique way of learning. They don't need limits. They need responsive, creative teaching that meets them where they are and unlocks their potential. What makes me proud is that our district refuses to define children by what they lack. We believe in equity, in building teacher capacity, and offering rich, joyful learning experiences for all. We hold high expectations, work collaboratively, and stay impatient with the gaps between what children achieve and what we know they can achieve. And the results are incredible. I've seen kids go from struggling to recognize letters, to reading and loving to read grade level books in just a few months. Kids who were once tentative now beam with pride. Students who are active thinkers and who have agency. Those moments, those 5 high fives, those hugs, those tears, that's what makes this the best job in the world. None of this happens alone. Thank you to Kathy and our curriculum administrators, Veronica and Eric, for creating conditions that let teachers teach with agency and creativity. To our incredible literacy specialists and interventionists who collaborate, model, and lift this work every day. To our teachers, the heart of it all, for creating classrooms where children can thrive. I am so grateful to my team at Noel Wallace, to Tara, Katie, and Carrie for their inspiration and leadership, and to my husband, Paul, for his endless support, patience, and belief in this work, and his creative support when we do things like, make coral reefs and create frog launchers for literacy nights. I'm honored to stand among such extraordinary educators, people who believe in children and one another and the power of literacy to change lives. Thank you so much for this recognition. It means the world to me. It really does. Thank you.
And our next award recipient is our staff member of the year for 2025-2026. Brittany, come on up. So Brittany is our district's BCBA. And many of you may not know what a BCBA does. But really, what I will say is you are foundational to the work that we do in our classrooms because you provide such amazing support so our students with exceptionalities can fully access learning in Farmington. So Brittany primarily serves students with exceptionalities, working hand in hand with all faculty and staff to ensure we provide the most exemplary services and education to all Farmington students. Brittany has a wealth of knowledge and expertise that expands well beyond our specialized programming here in Farmington, something we are very, very proud of, that we educate our students in our school district with their peers so they can access all of the programming, whether it's during the school day or after school. So that's something that is a point of pride for us here in Farmington, and Brittany is one of the really key people who help navigate and make sure that the students who might be in a specialized program or may need some type of support in a specialized program is getting that just right support. Her enthusiasm and high expectations for all students really is critical. She is a deeply trusted colleague who has modeled both high expectations and care for all students. That is a warm demander. That is a Farmington educator and staff member. Through Brittany's actions, she exemplifies Farmington's vision of the global citizen for all students by cultivating self-awareness, resilience, compassion, and cultural competence while empowering others to grow as learners, collaborators, and contributors to a more inclusive world. Brittany is an innovator, a problem solver, someone who pushes everyone to imagine new possibilities and understanding the unique strengths and needs of each child that we are so honored to serve. So congratulations, Brittany.
I'm not going to touch it. As Erin said, I also wrote down what I'd like to say. Standing here tonight feels a little surreal. When I think of all the people that make Farmington what it is, being recognized as Staff Member of the Year feels that much more special, and I'm deeply grateful. Each day, I have the privilege of working with our students, our families, colleagues, who bring such dedication and heart to their work. Together, we problem solve, celebrate progress, and help our students grow in confidence and independence. Together, we make the difference, and I wouldn't want to do it anywhere else. Thank you to the Board of Education for this recognition and for your ongoing support, and to our Superintendent, Mrs. Greeter, for your unwavering dedication, leadership, and vision. Thank you, Wendy and Melina, for your leadership, mentorship, and encouragement inspire all of us. And to our administrators in the DLC, thank you for creating the collaborative culture that makes Farmington so special. To my SLC family, our special services team, and colleagues across Farmington, thank you for your teamwork and trust in me. And last but certainly not least, to my dad, Mark, to my mom, Sherry, and to Alicia, thank you for always being in my corner. Well, I am who I am because of you, your unconditional love, your example, and your constant belief in me. Farmington is a community built on meaningful relationships and shared purpose, one that values collaboration, growth, and meaningful learning. And I'm honored to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Next item on the agenda is 5, approval of minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of September 15th, 2025 BOE regular meeting?
Motion?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next up is the FPSF check presentation to the Board of Education Teacher Initiated Grants, Large Innovation Grant.
All right, so another really patient group. Really happy to see our FPSF board members here this evening. We're so grateful to all of you. Carla and Kelly and Shayna, and I see some others here, Milton, yes, up there, are here to present the check for teacher-initiated grants as well as a large innovation grant. We haven't been able to do this in a while, so this is really exciting, and they're supporting pathways at FHS in the area of like biomedical pathways, and this is just such an I'm just so thrilled to be here for this part of it. And just advancing our science pathways at FHS is really important to us. We are in a community that has UConn and Jackson Lab, and this is something that's a real interest to our families and our students. Our Education Foundation in Farmington has supported our schools for over 25 years because of volunteers. And they've contributed to our success as a school district in so many ways through empowering our teachers and staff to experiment, to innovate, and engage in iterative strategic improvement on behalf of our students. And I just can't thank the foundation's board members enough. I've always had a close relationship with the Farmington Public School Foundation. I believe in its mission and its place within a community to support K-12 initiatives, and they have always been there for us during COVID. I could just go on and on. I know Tony's here, who has been, a key leader. I looked at the NAN framework tonight, and I was like, that should be on the FPSF website, because that's who you are. You notice us, you affirm us, and you make us feel like we're really needed, and we want you to know how much you're needed. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Accept the And if you go to the next slide, you'll see all of the grants this year, including the large innovation grant.
We asked Russ to come because this is part of this check.
Okay, we'll be quick, I promise. My name is Carla, this is Kelly. Part of the Farmington Public School Foundation is we fund innovative educational programs for the Farmington Public Schools. So we are so excited to be able to give this grant this evening. This grant has funded a grant at the Farmington High School, the bicycle frame design and fabrication, the Sap to Syrup at Union School, the IAR Calming Kits for 7th graders, the Nespresso and Beyond, which is our second year committing to that. And then Kelly's going to talk a little bit about the commitment that we made to the high school.
So we have also had the privilege of learning about the biomedical science and STEM pathway at the Farmington High School. We were super excited. We partnered with Russ and his team to learn a little bit more about that. We agreed as a foundation to fund a grant in the tune of $30,000, so $10,000 for the next 3 years for that biomedical pathway. It's clear to me you have some great community leaders here. I was hoping the student council's still here so we can get some of their services, but we really want to thank the community for the support that they give to this foundation. As Kathy mentioned, it's critical in all that we're doing here in the schools. We are very appreciative to support the teachers and all of the educators. So if you'd like to follow us, you can find us easily through the Farmington Public Schools website. There is a link for us. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can learn more about all the fun things that we're going to be doing in the community to raise funds. So thank you all for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. All right, class size report.
So Veronica is going to go over, do like a quick overview and then open it up to any questions.
So we can go to the next slide, running the yeah. So in your packet, you received a very detailed class size report that we certainly wouldn't go over every single detail here, but just wanted to give you sort of the high level takeaways. So you can see that really the point of this is to give you information to compare class size to the Board of Ed policy guidelines. So, I should be using this. Like I said, the purpose of this is to give you information in order so you can use to compare class size to the Board of Education policy guidelines, and also as sort of a preview to budgeting preparation. You would use this report potentially in conjunction with the October school enrollment report, which comes next, to start thinking about how to plan for next year. So, of course, these reports are sort of the result of thousands of decisions that are made about how we staff our schools, what's the programming look like, what can we support in a way that allows students to get what they need, but also be fiscally responsible. So that's what you have here. You can see, just as a high-level overview, we broke it down into elementary, middle school, and high school to kind of give you that snapshot way of thinking about where we are in relation to the board policy. And so ultimately the conclusion you'd come to is that the courses are adequately staffed in accordance with the BOE policy and regs. Places where you see smaller class sizes are often, in those specialty areas or in interventions, which is allowed by policy there. So those are some things that you might have noticed in there. So like I said, this is an overview, a high-level overview. I do want to point out that in K and 1, you might notice smaller class sizes. And although it's not always perfectly achievable, given that we have 4 elementary schools, and so, depending on who lives in the district and in that area, that can change, but we certainly, try to keep those lower than, let's say, 5th or 6th grade by design. So if we have an opportunity, we'll do that. I do also want to point out, and this will come out in the enrollment report a little bit more, that actually we were budgeted for more kindergarten classes than we have, but again, it was an efficiency we were able to use this year, just given the class sizes. So we didn't, make super small kindergarten classrooms because we wanted to be responsive to that responsibility as well. So that's an overview, but certainly in your booklets you have really far more detail maybe than you'd ever want. It really goes down to breaking everything down to exact class sizes for every course.
Okay, any questions?
I just have one.
Sure.
And you don't have it listed under your lowest enrollment, so I was wondering if it was just a number that was forgotten. For Spanish 8, there's a class listed with only 4 students.
What grade?
Grade 8 Spanish.
So one class of Spanish.
I was,
I'm gonna guess that's a typo.
it's a 14. Yeah.
Well,
Or
probably
24. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious, like, is there a class with just 4
so that's one of
students?
those. The 7 is accurate in pre-algebra there, but
That was going to be my other
Yeah,
question,
yes.
is that new, or is that just for students that really haven't mastered the pre-algebra in 7th grade?
could be for a variety of factors. Somebody
Yeah.
who moved in potentially, or as you suggested, somebody that needs it either again or for the first time, just given where they are in their trajectory.
Thanks, Veronica.
So the enrollment report is always a really important report for all of you. This is the beginning of our budget process when it comes to staffing. We look at these projections very carefully, and so you can go to the next slide. This gives you an overview of the total enrollment that we see as of October 1st. That's a magic number for the state of Connecticut, is October 1st. And we have 4,000 students in the district. That does not include 92 preschool students and 14 Farmington Valley Transition Academy students. It also doesn't include students in magnet schools that might be receiving special education services, which we pay for and we support. So there are other costs other than just the number of students you see here in this report. 96 less students K-12 in 25-26 than in 24-25, and 101 less in the MP projections, 52 less in the retention ratio projections, and 13 more in the push-up projections. So if you remember last year, as a one-time approach, we were moving children from one elementary school to another, and so the consultants that worked with us on the elementary ad hoc actually provided projections for us, and those are the MP projections. Also, we include building permits, which are considerations for projections because of future space utilization across schools. And then we include recommendations, which I'll go over, and projections for next year, both this year, only push-up and retention ratio. We will not have MP do any projections for us. Just some items to note, as a cohort analysis, we, if you just take one cohort and send it, like bring it to the next grade level, we had 16 additional students from cohort to cohort. The kindergarten age change requirement appears to have had an impact this year. And the housing market is a factor with limited inventory. So when it comes to turning over homes and maybe having families moving in, that seems to be a bit of a stressor in our community. And we see a trend towards smaller apartments being built in town, so we'll just have to see how that plays out. You've already gone to the projections on the next slide. We are projecting in the retention ratio 4,031 students. That will be the basis of our budget for the coming year. When it comes to staffing, in the push-ups, it's 3,927. Going to the next slide. If you look at the recommendations, many of them will seem very familiar to you, but I start with commending the board for the elementary ad hoc committee and the recommendations, because We set out to balance elementary enrollments, and we did just that, which is really helpful in our schools. And I hear has had a tremendous impact in East Farms in particular, that there is some swing space there, and it has made a huge difference. And it adds flexibility, which was much needed for many years at East Farms. So just commend the board on your work in that area. Special education needs are always going to remain a factor in how we utilize our schools. So that's something to keep an eye on. If we add specialized programs, those are classrooms that go, come off of our utilization and make capacity lower in each school. So that's something just in the future. Student needs, we often look at the needs of our students. We look at our vision of the global citizen, NEAS standards. All of those things we're always looking at to ensure we're utilizing the space we have in our schools in ways that reflect our vision of the global citizen. Pre-K programming, this is a big, big need in our community. One that we would love to do more for our community with preschool. We just don't have the space. And, I will just also commend the board for the movement of our preschool from Noah Wallace to Westwoods. You have to come visit. It's just wonderful in that space. If you have had children in Westwoods, the classrooms have collab space in the middle. This really works well for preschool students, and they have a gorgeous playscape that has been built there. It's just really exciting to see our 5th and 6th graders with preschool students at Westwoods. K-8 facility review recommendations, that's ongoing for the board. We have many, many items that you'll see in major projects and capital projects, but they have an impact on our facilities. Housing developments and trends, which I already talked about. I just want to mention, because this was an investment you made and our community made, but our central registration has been very positive and greater coherence of enrollment process and verification district-wide. So I think it's another point of pride for this board that you supported that and the community supported that. So that is my overview, and any questions?
Angela?
When is the enrollment taken, as of the last day of class in the school year, or when do you mark the enrollment?
It's October 1st is the state's day that we have to, because we have accountability to the state as well, so that is statewide, the day you take that enrollment year to year. And so that is why we use that as our projections.
So
And
October 1st, 2025, there's 4,000 students. Is that for the year ending in
it's this school year.
the school year ending in 2026?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay.
You all set, Angela?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, moving on. Summative state assessment results.
Yeah, so Eric Martin is here, Director of Curriculum and Instruction. He's going to provide a brief overview and then take any questions you might have.
All right, good evening, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Greeter, and others. I'm here today to go over, in brief, the full results of our state summative assessments from the spring of 2025, primarily in the areas of ELA, or ELA literacy, math, and science for grades 3 through 8. So the results that were presented to you in the summative results packet, there were 16 pages worth of kind of overview about these assessments and then results on how our students did. The slide behind you is highlights relative to those results. And we're here to talk primarily about 3 different assessments. So the Smarter Balanced Assessment, that's been administered across the state since 2016. That replaced the old Connecticut Mastery Test, and for high school, the Connecticut Aptitude Performance Test, or CAP test. And then the NGSS Science Assessment, which replaced the old CMT assessment for science. That's been administered since 2019. So what you won't hear about tonight is the high school results for the SAT school day. Those results are furnished in a separate report, and I'll be presenting those to the board at a later date. So for overall performance, we're here to talk about ELA in grades 3 through 8. We continue to experience much higher than state average performance on this assessment, 25% higher than the Connecticut average, to the tune of 76% of our students meeting or exceeding the benchmark for state performance. And that places us in the top quarter of our DIRG. DIRG is District Reference Group, so we use that as a classification system to compare ourselves to other districts of similar demographic makeup, income level, enrollment levels. And of the 18 districts in our DIRG with qualifying scores, we were in the top quarter. We also experienced a 2% increase in grade 3 literacy performance since last year on Smarter Balanced Literacy. That doesn't seem like a lot, but there's a story behind that that I feel is worth mentioning. So we continue to advance our integrated interdisciplinary units of study in grades K through 3 through the work of our curriculum specialists and our literacy coaches. They're doing a tremendous job building those units, taking inspiration from EL units of study and rolling those out to our teachers. And a lot of times what you see with the implementation of a new curriculum is performance will dip in the near term while teachers adjust to the instructional requirements of that new curriculum. That has not happened in Farmington. So at the same time that we've been rolling out new units of study, student performance continues to increase. So that's a testament really to the quality of these curricular units and to the implementation plan through which our teachers are being trained on how to effectively teach these new units of study that really expose students to deeper thinking and deeper learning opportunities. For math, again, consistently high performance was the continued trend here, 27% higher than the Connecticut average, and for this measure, we're in the top half of our DIRG. Looking a little bit more closely at the results, we do recognize that there's room for improvement in the areas of grades 6th through 8th mathematics, and we're engaging in a long-term curriculum study with the intent of continually strengthening and improving our math curriculum in those grades. It is important to note that nearly half of our students, 49.2% of our students, tested in math in grades 3 through 8, hit the highest achievement level. So they exceeded the state performance assessment. So when we look at strengthening the curriculum, it's bringing more of the students who are at levels 1, 2, and 3 up to that level 4 performance. And then in the area of science, which is assessed in grades 5, 8, and 11, and these results include also the 11th grade results. We are 28% higher than the Connecticut average and in the top quarter of our DIRG. Moving to the middle column, it's important to note that relative to overall performance, we continue to see strong performance in our high needs subgroup. And that's a kind of a super classification at the state level that captures any and all students who receive free and reduced lunch services, any students who are classified as multilingual learners or English language learners, and any students with special education designations. So our high needs performance continues to pace much better than the state average. In fact, we're in the top 15% of the state in performance in the area of math and the top third of our DIRG. And our high needs students on the whole score 18% higher than the state average on the Smarter Balanced Assessment in 2025. For literacy, a similar story. Once again, in the top 15% across the state in performance for high needs students, the top third of our DIRG, and again, 18% higher than the state average. For science, 51% of our high needs students meet or exceed the expectations of that assessment, and that's 20% higher than state average. In addition to Smarter Balanced achievement levels, there's also what's known as the Smarter Balanced growth model. So this model, I actually prefer it to achievement, which sets kind of one measure of attainment for all students. The growth model takes students and it'll say based on their previous year results, what is their growth target to move into the next level of performance for the following year. And so it sets really a measurable target for each individual student based on prior results. I often make the analogy, rather than saying like, okay, everyone at this table is going to run a 7-minute mile in the spring. That would terrify me. I would probably never qualify for that. It would take my previous year's performance and say, okay, Eric, based on your previous year's mile, which was not 7 minutes, here's a more reasonable target for you. Or in the case of James, maybe he would qualify for the 7-minute mile, or Beth, maybe something even faster than that. But it really sets an attainable mark for each student. So the state has kind of an ambitious statewide target for this model. They want 40% of students achieving their full growth target. Well, in Farmington, we outdo that pretty significantly. 55% of Farmington Public Schools students reached their full growth target in 2025 in the area of smarter balanced literacy. That was a 7% improvement from the previous year and 15% higher than the state average. Really what that means is we're meeting kids' needs exactly where they are and helping them get to increased levels of growth and achievement each year that they're enrolled with us and as measured on these assessments. And then they also give us data on, this one's a little trickier to understand, what is the percentage of the full growth target achieved? So I'll try to analogize this. If I ran, again, this is not plausible, but an 8-minute mile in year 1, and my goal was a 7-minute mile in year 2, then 100% of my target would be shaving 60 seconds. Are we following along? So if I shaved 30 seconds, I would have hit 50% of my growth target. Well, in Farmington, students in the area of literacy reach on average 72% of their full growth target, and that's 12% higher than the state average. And that captures the full range of students' performance at every single level. In the area of math, 58% of FPS students meet their full target, again, a 3% increase from performance last year, 15% more than the Connecticut average. So Connecticut is making good on their goal of 40%, and we are vastly exceeding that number in Farmington. On average, Farmington Public School students in the area of math reach an average of 73% of their full growth target, and that's 11% higher than the Connecticut average. So it's just important to note in summation that we've enjoyed long-standing success on summative assessments relative to other groups in our DERG and relative to state averages, but we're never satisfied. We look at summative results, state summative results, as an important data point that's like an overall indicator of the health of our curriculum, of our system of teaching and learning. It drives our improvement at the level of individual student performance, and it's really, we analyze these results to make our curriculum stronger every year so that our results continue to outpace state averages, to keep us at the top of our DERG, and to get better over time. Happy to answer any questions. Erica?
Yeah, I have, and maybe I might have missed it, and actually I've never asked this question, so, and I don't know how, if it's right or wrong, so let me just say that. Kids who are classified as special education kids, would they fall under that higher need?
They would.
They would.
So the high needs, the state developed a high needs supergroup. It's part of our performance index. It captures any student with one or more of the following designations: special education, free and reduced lunch, or they receive English language learner services.
They're in our overall
In our
performance,
overall.
and we break them out to ensure, we want all students to achieve at high levels, so we're really looking at that. And being on a statewide assessment committee for a while, that state target is set so that students over time, by the time they get to SAT, are on grade level. If they're meeting their growth target every year, like the theory is, they will get to the standard by the time, they're in high school and it's all designed in that way. So it's a really important, like the growth indicators are really important to us. That was a new feature that was never a part of the CMT, but we really like to look at that, because if you're a student who might be 2 years below grade level, but you make a certain level of growth, there's a real point of pride. You might not have gotten to the 3 or the 4, but you've made that growth, and we want to celebrate that, and we want to let our students know you're setting goals, you're working hard, you're getting there, and you will get there. So it's important to look at all 3 of these.
Absolutely.
And then, so, sorry, 2 more questions. So with, is this, I know we get the letter, we get the document, and it's all the beautiful graphs and everything, and, but is this used in the, say, when the student's going from one grade to the next, as educational needs for them?
Yeah, so we definitely use the individual student reports to determine what students' strengths and areas for growth are, and tailor instructional supports and opportunities for students. We also look across grade levels and see where are we performing stronger or weaker relative to test claims and targets, and make curricular and instructional decisions based on those. Absolutely.
Perfect.
But it is one test.
It is,
It
yeah,
is
no, I
one
know.
And
test.
It's
so
called
it is
decimal,
one test, and that's why what Eric said is absolutely correct. It's like a reflection of the health of our curriculum and our instructional practices and programming. And we would never say one test defines a child,
Yeah.
because we have seen students, at grade level on all of our assessments, and then they get to this assessment and it's stressful, and it's one assessment, and it's on
And
the
it
computer.
feels high stakes,
You know,
even though
so-
we try to coach them that it's
Yeah.
not, or we don't want it to
Yeah.
feel that way.
Yeah, so.
But with the growth model, it really helps us to kind of know for each student what's the requisite level of performance needed to get them to the next level. And then we mine deeper into that to kind of determine exactly how we get them there through supports and
And then my
opportunities.
last question, because I know we had talked about this maybe last year or so, and I know it was a big topic of conversation, is around the grade level that was really impacted, or all kids were impacted by the whole COVID pandemic and
Yeah.
the remote learning thing. Are we seeing that, as there was some slipping, are we seeing, are these numbers reflecting that we are seeing those grades have caught up, or maybe?
Yeah, so if you look in the report, there's some historical data. It really starts on page, I believe, 9. I'm flipping through. But you can see, without going directly to that data, that in most cases, we're at least within 1 percentage point, if not better than where we were coming out of COVID.
Okay,
So yeah, we have arrested that dip that COVID created.
okay, I see it on page 1. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? Pretty good first year, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's all me. No, I cannot take credit. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to extend our meeting? We're gonna go past 10 o'clock.
A motion? Second?
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Results and outcome?
Yes, so Veronica will do a quick overview. This is our accountability report to you. And so it's really important that this reflects what we set as goals last year in our school and program development plan, and now here are the results of those actions that were also aligned to teacher and administrator objectives. So we have a very nice structure and system around strategic improvement, and I'll hand this over to Veronica.
And given the vote that was just taken, we will do this very quickly. So if somebody can go to the next slide. So because this report is quite lengthy, and Kathy has some copies there, I know when you have it electronically, but if you were to, want to peruse that at your own leisure at some point, and want it in paper format, there are some copies there for you as well. And so really what I wanted to provide for you today is just a little sort of high-level analysis of the main areas that if somebody asked me, what did we work on as a district last year, these would be the ones. And so I do want to just call your attention to the great presentation that we had, just because it's like current in our mind, but the great presentation we had by high school, because I don't know if you noticed it, but his first slide was about how what they're showing you connects to his school development plan this year. That's the high school development plan. So if you notice, the goal statement was strengthen shared ownership. So this is the new one, so we're going to get into that next slide, but just as an example, strengthen shared ownership and responsibility in our school community by deepening a culture of genuine mattering among all students. So that's going to be the one for this year, but what you can see is that that document of our school development plans really drives everything we do. And then in the school development plan, it'll also say, how will we know that we achieved that? So it'll have indicators. So it says, we will know this because our survey results will show an improvement in these questions or something like that. So that's how these reports are crafted. Just like Kathy said, that this is like a year-long process, more than a year long, between the planning and then reflecting on how we did in those areas. And so I'm hoping that, as you went through, or as you go through, and she said this is our accountability report, that's exactly what this is. We hold ourselves accountable to these very important improvement areas that we're working on. So I would say, and they're always organized in these 3 very important areas, so culture and climate, and our goal there is high trust culture. And so in many of the reports, as you're reading, you would see that we had a focus on actions matters, which means things like, our words and our actions make a difference, and how can we behave in ways you know, that really, you know, shows, you know, what we, you know, care about and that we care about other people. And so there were a lot of results in this that show that, you know, there were improvements made on those areas. But there was also a lot of action steps. So the action steps would have been various, you know, professional development or various opportunities for students to think about that. So you'll notice that things like in high trust, so family partnerships increase, and then you would see it in our results and outcomes in terms of our survey data improving in those areas. Student voice and leadership is another big takeaway in that area. In academic achievement, that's also aligned to high expectations, that we have high expectations for all learners. So there you're going to see a lot of focus on have we achieved these objectives with all learners. And so it was also nice that we had the presentation tonight from the Farmington Public Schools Foundation, because one of the things that we worked on really hard were the enhanced pathways, which you saw tonight. The science was awarded you know, some of the resources there in order to continue to enhance that pathway. But that, again, is a result of a school development plan and a program development plan, and then that's the outcome, that we have these enhanced pathways. You'll also see more evidence of this actually as we go along, but over time we've been also enhancing our college experience courses, adding more courses, and also a huge emphasis on encouraging students to try these courses. And so you'll see a real increase in the number of students, and you'll see it actually even in our, you see it in the results and the outcomes in the beginning pages, a huge increase in the number of students who are taking a college course before they leave high school. And then in the area of teaching and learning, you hear of these often, high engagement, we talk about deeper learning. What does that mean? You would have noticed last year there was a huge emphasis on displays of student learning and student work, and parents coming in to see all of the work at the various elementary schools, for example. And we spent quite a bit of time last year too on really learning about the impact of artificial intelligence on teaching and learning, which was pretty new at that time to us. And so we developed some protocols around that for teachers and for students, with more to come. So, you know, those are some high level, like every school has their own nuanced way of thinking about what's their next level of work. But overall, because it's sort of nested, you know, there's a program development plan that we all talk about and discuss, and then schools are able to take those same themes that we've been working on through various retreats or our own professional learning, and then do what makes sense for their schools. But you would see a lot of these themes sort of emerging in all the schools. And again, that's the results and outcomes for last year. And so next time we meet, you'll see the goals and objectives for this year going forward. But one of the things you'll notice is that many times, because we have 5-year goals, we have our VOGC, we have our Framework for Teaching and Learning, it's always just a deeper level, but you see many of the same themes over years, but we just continue to you know, learn more about each one of these areas and go deeper as a system. So I think that's the summary of the 140 pages that you have in front of you of all of our results and outcomes. But again, it's really important. The data is really important, just the outcomes data, but also the perceptions data. So we really work hard on both of those and communicating what we're doing in order to you know, measure ourselves against what we said we were going to do. We're doing that.
Questions?
I just got one question, Veronica. I know Eric touched on it, and I saw in the report, and I actually kind of feel this personally with my daughter being in IAR. What is, maybe we can get a preview of what the plan is for the math? Because I see that like from 22 to 25, the numbers go down to 7th grade, but 8th grade is opposite.
The numbers go
Yeah,
down.
the percentage of kids that are passing or C minus and above, I think is where the outcome was.
Oh.
The percentage has gone down for 3 straight years in 7th grade. So I was curious as to like, and I know Eric touched on it too, so I was just curious as to what strategies are gonna be deployed going forward.
So as you know, in every department, we have vertical teams that are studying that. And I do know that, like, for example, you will see in the program development plan that there, for IAR, that in the area of academic achievement, you will see an indicator there of what they're working on with the action steps in there. So that's how we work. You know, we see those kinds of gaps, and then that is what drives what goes into the plan.
Fantastic, thanks.
The only thing, question I would, not a question, but something I would want us to take a look, you know, also in regards to strategies to what James was saying, and on the page 13, the equity indicators on Met standards on SPAC literacy grades 3 to 8, where it's got all Asian, Black, Hispanic, White, 2 or more. Black and Hispanic student population scores are the lowest comparatively, as well as I went to look at the breakdown of the, you know, the percentage of individuals, you know, in that population, but still it's concerning that their numbers are low, as well as for the math SPA grades 3 to 8. They are the lowest, 35 and then 35% for Black and 50% for Hispanic. So what type of strategies are we doing, you know, for the populations there? And I understand from the talking earlier about they may be considered pulled in that higher need population too. I don't know. But could be. But this is, you know, I would not be doing my my job if I didn't point those two things out.
I mean, I think, you know, knowing that this is a very important aspect of our work is ensuring all students are achieving at high levels. I think when you hear about, you're on the CCEI, we are relentless in looking at this data and ensuring that some of it you saw tonight, students do. The foundation of doing well in school is feeling that you do belong, you matter. So that is the foundation, right? So we're working on that, but the other foundation is access. That every child in this district, we take away the barriers, right, to the access to high levels of coursework. Not pulling them out of core content to provide a support, but instead have flex blocks where we're not pulling anyone out of core content. So there are many, many different strategies over the years that we have put in place, and we've made some progress in that area, but there's a long way to go, and we have to keep working on it. This is a statewide issue for Connecticut with, you know, the largest achievement gap in the country. So we really, you know, if we are working tirelessly on this, and it's a mission for our teachers and our administrators to ensure every child meets personal and academic excellence here in Farmington. So it definitely is something I think the CCEI potentially could provide some of those opportunity and, you know, gaps. It's often opportunity gaps that create these, the data. So just the things we've done over the years. I'll give you one example and then we'll move on because I know it's late. But just what we've done with American Studies here at the high school. Every child gets a credit-bearing class here at FHS. That was years and years in the making. That our students are, you know, students that typically would not access a college credit course are now all accessing it. So those are the types, I mean, those are little examples, but there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes that would often be articulated in our school development plan. So looking in there, you're gonna see those strategies and initiatives and training that we're doing.
And one of the things, because of the way that this is presented, so just to Kathy's point on the equity indicators, like the college course enrollment, last year, the overall was, you know, 85%. and now it's 98. And in the population, the Black population, it was 71%, and now it's 94%.
Yes.
So that's just an example of how, and we're trying to be very transparent also with this data, because we're just as impatient as anyone in terms of what's going on here. And so this is something that continues to be something we're constantly thinking about and driving for in that area. So something we know well and really plan for. It's in our school development plans, and you can see there as an example the college course enrollment and what kind of progress we've made there.
And so many things come before the board, whether it's budget, whether it's like presentations from schools, that, we're asking for more interventionists or things like, those are all those types of strategies we're putting in place, and this board has always supported having coaches so that our teachers have opportunities to have someone coaching them side by side. Erin Knock was a great example of someone who does that and is helping to close opportunity and achievement gaps at the elementary level in reading. So, the board has a big part in this work as well.
Kathy, I think I asked a similar question last year, so I'm just curious. For the family survey feedback, I know there's like 16 questions, and then there's also like a write-in that the parents, families can give feedback for, but we choose only to gather the, include in here 9 of those questions. Is there a reason we don't give the full breadth of the questions that were asked as a recap?
Yeah, I think we explained it last year. I'll explain it again. We really focus in on the areas that are most need, the most need, and areas that the school development plans are based in. So we want to continue to drill down into those areas. I think last year we provided all of them. It's not that we don't, it's really to try to focus our efforts. If you go too broad with your strategic improvement, you're really not going to have improvement in those areas. So one example, I think, one question you're always going to see it say, we're going to keep on there as a focus is this work too easy, too hard, just right? We always have issues there. So we keep drilling down on that and working on it. And the other is just kindness to one another. That is another area. So we really pick kind of the areas that we're going to really focus in on, and then say to ourselves, did we make an impact? Did we improve in this area? So the principals, they're looking at all of them, but there's just some that we see consistently are in need of improvement.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'll take a look. So that information is available, though, if I wanted to see it in terms of...
Yeah, we would send it to the whole board if the whole board wanted that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, great, thank you.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Do you, I know they have these studies and they break down, different ethnic groups, whatever. Do they ever take in consideration home life or support at home or broken families, or because studies show that it does impact the student a lot. So although we see that, we have to bring these students to a level, but is there a study that shows, not that you can get in the home life, but I think it does affect a lot of possible academics or whatever, because of what's going on at home or the support that's going on at home. And we always try our best to support students here, which I think you guys do, but do you guys see that a lot? Or
that would be hard to capture
right,
in
course.
terms of a data point, but I think that somebody
it does
already
have
said
an impact,
it.
Right?
Somebody already said it. There's a lot of overlap between the high needs and then some of the areas that we're looking at here. So
mentioned,
as Eric said before, that would be free reduced lunch, special education, ELL status. One or more of those will put you in the high needs category. So it's not, there's no place where the state's lining up. How does that correlate to, different ethnic groups? But, there could be some of that going on too.
And I do think we've recognized our need to engage families more.
Yeah.
And so that's Kristen, our family liaison, and then we have liaisons at each school have been really helpful in creating events where we really invite parents in that maybe we wouldn't typically see because they're working a job or two, whatever it might be, but trying to like meet families where they are and say to them, you know, here are ways in which you can partner with us. Here's some, you know, early literacy strategies, that type of thing. So Kristen's been really helpful to our school principals in increasing those types of events and opportunities for families.
Okay, anybody else? Professional appointments.
So we have one appointment in this report this month.
Yeah.
Pretty quick. And deeper learning updates, you know, I always invite you to look at these. These are completely aligned to what Veronica just went over in her presentation, but just so, I mean, these pictures are just, you know, amazing as you look at our students engaging and learning together.
Thank you. Budget impact, budget update.
And I'm just going to say, Dan's had a really easy time tonight, but things are about to change because we're entering budget season.
Yeah. Really, I mean, you know, I don't want to oversimplify it. We're in October. Things are still really at the projection level. You know, things are good. You'll see in the, you know, we'll do the July and August financials, but it's the beginning of the year, and so we're just kind of monitoring for things there. But right now, there's nothing, you know, nothing bringing us any large concern. You know, I'll talk when we do the financials again. Veronica had alluded to the 3 kindergarten teachers that we didn't deploy because of the enrollment, and so you'll see that on the teacher salary line for both the July and the August. So, you know, I know, Angela, you bring up that sometimes you always see that teacher salary that's really high. You're not going to love it because it's going to probably stay really high this year because there's already 3 teachers that we didn't need to utilize that we put in the budget. And so now that, you know, if you figure out, you know, an average of $75,000 a year times 3, it's about $220,000 that's going to be there that hopefully it will kind of be able to maintain. Now, the reality is we know special education, surprise costs, different things come up and, you know, a couple outplacements and that money gets absorbed. But it's always nice to start the year knowing that you have this, you know, ahead, as opposed to, I think last year we had some concerns about the beginning of the year and trying to scramble through. So, but overall, everything's looking really good, moving in a positive direction, and so we hope it kind of continues in that path.
Thank you, Dan. New business, review and consideration of the school district annual report.
So this is the accountability system for the town, and we contribute to it. And so this is our annual report that we put together each year. And this will, once approved, will be sent to the town manager as part of her report.
Thank you. Section 9, consideration of assistant superintendent.
You have to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad, sorry, it's late, guys. I need a motion to approve as presented? Yeah. Can I get a motion to approve the 24-25 school district annual report as presented?
Motion?
Second.
All those, I'm sorry, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Title 9, Section 9, consideration of assistant superintendent of finance operations report.
Yeah, once again, that's just kind of what I alluded to in the budget impact discussion. If you look at for the July and the August financials, which were, you know, to approve, you'll see in the teachers line there that kind of large current balance. The rest of them are, you know, little things here and there, but you know, overall, you know, we're like I said, we're moving along and going well.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the July 2025 financial statement report?
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And then I get a motion to approve the August 2025 financial statement report as presented.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Section 10, report of committee chairs, personnel negotiations. Andrea.
Nothing to report.
Policy, Beth.
Nothing to report.
Curriculum?
Or could I say something about policy?
Sure.
So Shipman and Goodwin have not finished their model policies for this year, and once they do, we'll call a meeting so that the policy committee could look at all the model policies for this year. And hopefully have first readings in November.
Okay. Curriculum, Andre?
We have a meeting Monday, October 27th.
Okay. Communications, Beth?
Nothing much to report, except I just hope you all, during your busy summers, got a chance to see the summer newsletter that went out to all the households. It was really, I thought, our best ever. Best yet. Just FHS class of 2025 and all the achievements of students, classrooms, schools. It was really, really nice to see it in print. So.
Okay, next up, report of committee liaisons. Correct, no report. Extended learning facility?
Nothing to report.
Scholastic, superintendent's interscholastic advisory?
No report.
What we saw tonight, Public School Foundation, James?
Yep, I was just gonna say that the almost $19,000 check right there is a report of the committee. But no, the FBSF is just an awesome organization to be a liaison for. Kelly and Carla are doing a fantastic job. Shepherding the group along. Still struggle for participation, just like all the PTOs in town from the community. So we're always looking for volunteers. So if you know anybody, know any friends that want to get involved and actually make a difference, look at that check over there. It is a fantastic organization doing really, really good for our school system. So,
thank you, James. Health and Wellness, Angela.
We had a meeting in September. They discussed the WellSat data, and they're setting some goals centered around that data that they got back. So there's going to be some further initiatives on nutrition education and physical education, which was the two main feedback driving areas from the WellSat data. So I think we'll hear more about that as that gets in motion.
Thank you. Cafeteria Advisory, Nadine?
Our next meeting is December 8th.
Green Efforts, Marty?
No report.
Community Council of Equity and Inclusion, Erica?
Yes, we had a meeting last week, actually in this room, was jam-packed, and it was just such a wonderful meeting, and actually seeing one of the student council members, Tori, was at our table. She was just very impressive, and part of the conversation and the work that's being done there, as Kathy was mentioning earlier, about how do we ensure the inclusivity and ensuring, making sure that our students feel valued and heard and needed and so forth. And there was a lot of focus on the power of mattering, which was discussed earlier today, and then about belonging. And it was great. I will say, and Natalie, I just continue to be impressed by how she facilitates a room full of, I don't even know how many people were in this room. It was jam-packed. And also, it was very creative, and it was very, feels very motivating, and it feels very, I feel very grateful to have heard a panel of students. There were students represented in the room, but also a panel of students. And I will say, just bringing some of their voices here to this room today, and speaking to what was mentioned earlier, many of them, when they were asked, how do you know we're meeting your needs, or how can you tell us how we're meeting your needs? And many of them were grateful about the tutoring that they experience here within the school day, and access to that service is that is where we need to be investing. It's across the board. Each one, I think, mentioned that, the tutoring. And then just overall, just feeling like, what I enjoyed about that was the diverse group of kids, from grade levels to race, ethnicity, gender, everything, culture, all of that was just a wonderful reflection. And I think it was probably one of the most feel-good meetings I've attended. So thank you.
Can tell. That's awesome.
Yes, it was great.
That's awesome. Beth, FHS Building Committee?
Sure. So the building committee met last week. To say really general, we continue to meet. We're down to once a month now. It's primarily reviewing and improving invoices and change orders. We're kind of narrowing down, honing in on the home stretch. So we're winding down on the formal completion of the FHS building, obviously. And I think they're still doing punch list items probably in central office building. And we meet again November 19th.
Thank you, Beth. Andrea, Superintendent Search Committee?
Yeah, so I have an update. It's a little bit longer than I normally give my updates, but I just wanted to really share with the public my thoughts and also some of the work we've been doing over the past 8 months. Farmington is an exceptional school district with outstanding faculty, staff, administrators, students, and families. Since beginning the search process 8 months ago, the Board of Education has approached the superintendent search with great care and deliberation, ensuring confidentiality, thoroughness in vetting candidates, and maintaining high expectations for identifying our next district leader. We began this process by hiring CABE Search Services as our search consultant to guide and support our work. During the spring, we engaged our community through feedback sessions and a district-wide survey to identify the leadership qualities and attributes most valued in Farmington's next superintendent. Although we received applicants from across Connecticut and beyond, we were unable to identify a final candidate who met all of the criteria, qualifications, and expectations that we collectively established as a community. The position was reposted on August 1st and applications were accepted through September 12th. Over the past month and a half, we have carefully reviewed applications, conducted interviews, and thoroughly vetted candidates. The responsibility of serving on the search committee is one this board has taken very seriously. Our focus throughout this process has been to identify a candidate who is not only fully qualified to serve as a superintendent in Connecticut, meeting the highest standards of certification, experience, and education, but also someone who will continue Farmington's legacy of leading the way in education, and that is a very high bar. I'm thrilled to share with the community, with the public, on behalf of the Board of Education, that we have identified a candidate who meets our community's expectation, both within our school district and across the broader Farmington community. We plan to hold a special board meeting on Monday, October 27th at 7 p.m. here in the Black Box Theater to appoint this individual. We invite all members of the community to join us as we welcome the next leader of Farmington Public Schools. Finally, I just want to take a moment to recognize every member of the board for their time, commitment, collaboration, and thoughtful dialogue throughout this process. It's something I'm incredibly proud of. Each of you has approached this work with a shared sense of purpose and pride, knowing that we were entrusted with the privilege of selecting Farmington's next lead learner, someone who will guide us to the next level of our continuous improvement journey and continue our proud tradition of excellence in education across Connecticut and beyond. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, report to the board chair. I just want to say to Andrea, thank you for leading us in that process. Your leadership, you're an example of how to do something like that well. You were thoughtful, you were patient, you were methodical, and you were a fantastic leader. And I think I speak for everybody when I say that you were really excellent at it. And the town will be forever in your debt, I think, because of the work that you did in this process. And I mean that sincerely.
It was collective.
It was, but you were the leader of it, so well done. The only other report I have is that the town council voted to ratify the teacher's contract at their last meeting, and it was a unanimous vote. So that being said, we're adjourned.